Okay, guys, welcome to BetBash Stories here by the RoundTable. We thought we'd get together tonight and get ready for BetBash number 3, which is coming up very shortly, just a couple of more weeks. We just wanted to tell you guys some stories and get everybody excited about going. Probably my best BetBash story so far happened to me at BetBash number 1. I was talking to Live Doc Luke in New Jersey, and we were talking, and suddenly he introduced me to a guy named Kevin. Kevin's one of the best CFL guys in the country. Kevin's a great friend of mine now, and I owe everything to getting to meet him from BetBash number 1 and Live Dog Duke. I can't even say the name. Live Dog Luke introducing me to him. One of the other huge events I had happen to me at BetBash number 1 was me finally getting to talk to Dink. Dink is a great resource to get to know, and I really enjoyed meeting him. I've already told the Dink story on Be Better Betters with Spanky, and if you want to hear that story, you can go there. But I'll throw the call over to Milkshake. Milkshake, do you want to tell us one of your stories from BetBash?
Yeah, thanks, Scott. Got countless stories from BetBash. Being an amateur bettor, I would definitely say when I first went to BetBash, it was just a game changer. Thankfully, I got to meet Scott right beforehand, so it was able to introduce me to a couple people. And one of the very first nights there, and people kind of look at the agenda and they think about the price of BetBash. And I'm just like, you're crazy, because you don't even understand like what 2 hours at Bar Canada at an open bar can really bring you. And just sitting there having drinks. And one of the first people I met was Richard Munchkin. Just kind of mind blowing, right? Like Gambling with an Edge is one of the most legendary podcasts out there. If you were at the event, guaranteed that you've listened to almost every episode of Gambling with an Edge. And there was Richard Munchkin. You recognize him by his voice, right? One of the few people, you're going to recognize by his voice right away. And just got to sit there and listen to him and ask him questions, get to hear his different stories. And that right there, just to me, is worth the price of admission alone. If you're interested in Advantage Gambling, you get to meet one of the most well-connected, most well-known guys out there. But it just doesn't stop. There's just so many different things. The Bookie Better breakfast, to sit down and as Scott mentioned, Dink, it was one of the people that I got to sit there with the Bookie Better breakfast and talk to. And, most people had seen that lay the favorite, and that's not something Dink really wanted to talk about, because I'm sure it's something he's always getting asked about. But it's just cool, seeing a guy that the movie's based off of, and just, is a legendary gambler, and you get to talk to him and ask him little things about his handicap. And I'm not a handicapper. I never want to be. I'm not trying to be. But no matter what side or what type of betting you do, every piece of betting advice is super valuable. And the price of admission was paid for 10 times over by all the people I got to meet, and then the people I continue to work with over or out through it. So just wanted to say that. But yeah, those are a couple of my stories.
Well, Melchik, I think you're leaving out the critical story, though. The critical story is when we were on that Twitter Spaces with Spanky, and you said you didn't think it was going to be worth it. And I said, you and I can hang out. And ever since that Twitter Spaces, we've hung out a lot, an awful lot. And I've gotten an awful lot of value from our friendship, and I hope you've gotten a lot of value from it also.
Yeah, absolutely. Just really glad you said that at that moment, because I know a lot of people out there, they're thinking like, what value can I bring to another professional bettor? And the thing is the nonstop amount of friends that you can get that are interested in this business and interested in the sharp side of this business is valuable. as you know, America, countries, everybody's got different betting regulations all across the board, and there's just so many things that you can do to help each other out, and just sitting, being a fly on the wall in conversations, like it's been huge. So yeah, just speaking up is a big thing. I think I know a lot of people in the space are introverts, but this is the one place where you go to be an introverted person, and everybody understands they're still going to talk to you and have a good time. So yeah, just nonstop value. I really appreciate that, Scott. Again.
Yeah, and I appreciate our friendship. The next guy let's call up onto the board here is a guy named Phoenix Adam. And if he was Las Vegas Adam, we probably wouldn't have a round table. We got to meet at Speed Networking. Adam, what story do you have for us?
Hey guys, thanks and welcome. Before the story, I want to just give my background because I'm certain there's some people out there interested in BetBash that were probably in a similar boat. But, you know, I'm basically a Rec Plus bettor. I originate NFL. I'm obsessed with NFL. I got a full-time job that I support 24/7, special needs kids. So really busy, but every minute that I'm not doing those things, I'm working on NFL. So I happen to be on the Twitter space that was just mentioned. Prior to that, I consume a ton of betting content that, you know, to help me with my process. I don't really know people that I would call sharp. You know, most of my friends are your typical parlay guys and, you know, bet on game day kind of guys and never cared about getting better. So BetBash was intriguing when I heard it. I mean, I made connections with people on Twitter and I saw a lot of them were going. I wanted to go, but in all honesty, I'm like, you know, what am I bringing to this thing? And so I was on the Twitter space when Milkshake asked the call, and as Milkshake's describing his situation, I'm thinking to myself, man, this guy sounds, you know, kind of similar to what I'm doing. And Spanky's response to you, the way I remember it, you know, he basically said, you know, you're the perfect bettor for this is designed for. You're actually the, you know, the perfect guy to get the most out of this. And then Scott followed up with you and, you know, said, hey, let's, you know, we'll hang out and we'll do all that. And because of that, I'm like, you know what? I think I could go to this by myself, not knowing a soul. And, you know, I'm a talkative person. And so I'm like, yeah, I'm sure we can make this work. So that's what got me there. That Twitter space got me to BetBash. And on opening night, I met a guy, James, who's in our group, who's not on the call, I believe. But we just hit it on, like, he literally walked in and sat down next to me. Hey, what are you doing? You know, I do NFL, he's doing college. We just hit it off and had some chemistry that was real interesting, and it'll come back and play. But there was that. Then we did the networking, and that's where I met Scott. And me and Scott were talking, and, you know, this is all new. I would say Scott was, I feel like it was like the third or fourth meeting of the day, so it was pretty early. And, you know, I felt like we were really hitting it off, and we were talking. He tells me about this Las Vegas group that has a meeting on Sunday. And I basically said to him, I said, you know, I don't know anybody here. I said, my hope, if I can get one person that maybe I can talk football with, you know, after, you know, every Sunday or something, or every week, I would consider this thing a success. And so that was that. We went through the rest of the meetings. Anyway, nothing more happened in BetBash other than just meeting everybody I wanted to meet from Twitter that I had met, you know, and everybody was just phenomenally cool, you know, going up to the pros, the top of the pros, and asking questions. I did get to meet Dean too and converse with him a little bit, so I'm so grateful for that, you know. But things for me didn't really get going until BetBash ended. So me and James exchanged numbers over the weekend, and me and Scott did as well. Shortly thereafter, you know, I got hit up about, hey, we're doing this Twitter, you know, private group thing. And, you know, and so I joined that, and lo and behold, I got into that, and Scott was there, Milkshake was there, James was there, who I met on opening night. And then the group just started talking and growing, and I'm like, hey, this is awesome, you know. So that turned into what is it? What we're on Signal, right? Yeah. So the Signal group, Scott's running with this group, and, you know, people are working and networking and adding people to the group, which I'm loving, you know, because I'm just looking for people to share information with, see what's going on. And so I want to go back to BetBash for 1 minute. Two of my most favorite people on the panels were Adam Bjorn and Elihu. I've read his book, and I talked to him, and both of those guys were like the two guys that really stood out, like these are super interesting guys, and I'm attracted to interesting people, you know. And then with Scott and his work and his networking, you know, all of a sudden, boom, get to meet them, get to converse with them, you know. When football season started this past year, it was the first time I ever used an on-screen with Spank odds. And we did a group contest. So we had a weekly call on contests, which I'm a big contest guy as well. And then we would do a Saturday call, and basically everybody was just talking about what they're seeing on the screens, games, information. Everybody's sharing different things. And those two apparatuses gained me so much knowledge. Just hearing other guys talk about what they did, wasn't doing what I do, but it doesn't matter because I was gaining stuff. Long story short, you know, me personally, I had my best football season betting wise. I cashed in the Circa contest. I cashed in the Westgate wins total contest. And, you know, it's no coincidence that all these things have happened. So if someone's out there, you know, they're by themselves, they don't know anybody. You got to come to this thing because, I mean, it's changed my life. I feel like some of the relationships we have are life changing, and it's only been a year and a half or so. Let's be fair. But I think the best is yet to come. And, you know, I think amazing things are going to happen out of this.
Yeah, and Adam, you really sell yourself short. You cashing in both tournaments is very, very impressive. And I want you to be one of my first customers of VHP Proxy because I have started that proxy service this year, and I sure want to get your business.
Oh, you got 100%, my friend.
Well, thank you very much. Let's leave the United States here for a second because we've got some people from abroad here. Rob, are you able to tell us a story?
Yeah, hey everyone. If my connection cuts out a bit, apologies. But yeah, it's great hearing Milkshake Spencer, who's my connection to the group. We just at one of the many open bars. We just ended up in the same spot, got chatting, and that's my connection here. Met you or you guys, which is awesome. Whole bunch of other people in the industry. Yeah, I think it's all about knowledge, this industry, isn't it? And when you've got like-minded people like us talking to each other and being a pro punter down here in Australia, it's, you know, you're a bit of a lone wolf, so it's nice to have that connection, talking shop with people who know what they're talking about rather than the blokes at the pub who don't know much. That's kind of cool. Yeah, my story, yeah, so first time in Vegas last year, for BetBash 2, awesome event. Took a leap of faith. Wasn't really sure what it was all about, but thought got to have a look, got to check out Vegas. Fremont Street experience was amazing, which is where it's kind of hosted. Hope everyone can hear me okay. So, yeah, but I'm also just an amateur poker player. I love playing. Yes. A little bit of a bucket list thing to do. So I jumped online, saw there was a tournament area near the Golden Nugget. They put up a cab and said, "Hey, go on to Caesars." And then all of a sudden, this guy came out of nowhere and said, "Oh, hey, I'm going to Caesars too. Can I jump in?" So, you know, I hopped in the front as we do down here, and he hopped in the back and turned around to have a chat. And I saw he had the lanyard for BetBash. Like he was at the conference as well. I thought, oh, sweet, here we go. Make another connection. Got talking a little bit and saying how good the event was and all that sort of stuff. I introduced myself to him, turned around, said, "Hey, I'm Rob. How's it going?" He had some name, John, on his tag or something. He said, "I'm Zelko." And like, so I was sitting down, but I was, so for people who don't know Zelko Runner Gadgets is like Australian guy, one of the biggest gamers of Ghost. Like, no one, he has no online presence. No one knows the guy. It's like he doesn't exist. He's wearing a name that wasn't his own. Because I found out later on that Spanky invited him. directly, privately, can you come to this thing? And he did. So yeah, had this amazing 15-20 minute conversation in the taxi down to Caesars. Amazing guy, lovely guy. We mostly talked about me. I'm just a little, little sardine compared to him. But he was really interested in what I did, gave me some great advice. Had an awesome chat, lovely guy. Yeah, got to the end. He would not let me pay for the cab. He insisted on paying, so I was like, awesome, thank you, appreciate that, and had to give him my business card, of course, because I would have died if I didn't do that. And asked him as he was walking off, "Oh, where are you going?" And he said, "Oh yeah, I'm meeting Jack Binion for lunch." So I thought, wow, okay, that's awesome. All right, enjoy, mate. Like, great to meet you. Unreal. And yeah, enjoy the rest of it. And that's probably the last time I'll ever see him. But yeah, absolute highlight of my life as a professional gambler. And yeah, everyone back here is blown away that the guy's real. People who work for him don't even get to meet him. So yeah, amazing experience all through BetBash.
Yeah, that's a great story about Jelko. I got to meet Jelko also with Richard Munchkin. Richard Munchkin is the one who introduced me to him. We talked to him for a couple of hours, and I had no idea who John Wilson was. And so they got kind of a kick out of that. But he was a great guy when I got to meet him also. I really, I just couldn't say enough good things about him. And it looks like we have a visitor jumping in on the call here. It looks like Spanky's jumping in. And this would be a perfect time for me to tell the Adam Borg story about BetBash number 2. At BetBash number 2, there was about 4 or 5 of us got together to have lunch before BetBash started. Adam Borg was the guest host, and I don't think he got to eat it all at that lunch. Milkshake, and there was a couple of us there. Kevin was there. We had like 4 or 5 people there, and we just bounced questions off him continuously for about 2.5 hours. And he was a really, really good sport about it. So we kind of talked a little bit about the lunch for BetBash, and we've decided to make it an annual event. So this year, we're hoping to have even more people coming to BetBash number 3, the pre-lunch, which will be on the Tuesday. Spanky, did you want to say anything there?
Hey, Scott, how are you? Thanks for having me on this. Can you hear me well?
Yeah, we hear you. We hear you fine. What do you think? Do you think you can make that Tuesday lunch with me?
Yes. I think a big part of my office is going to be making that. Luke, we kind of went over our BetBash schedule, and I think Luke, Chinese Mike, we all, I think, slated that time to be able to come by and say hello, and make that. I'm definitely going to stop in. I just, obviously there could be a couple of fires I might have to put out, so I don't want to, commit myself to being there the whole time. But if everything's running smoothly, I'd love to be able to stay a while.
Well, that's really cool. I would really love it if you joined me with this. I'd kind of like to make it an annual event. A couple of people, well, actually, I've gotten a lot of people that have contacted me on Twitter and about my VHP proxy service, and I've went ahead and invited them too. So maybe you'll get to meet some people that you haven't got a chance to spend lunch with before. So I think the lunch should go really well. Adam is going to be there again. I've invited a couple more bookmakers. So we're hoping to have a really, really nice time there.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I heard about last year, and it's great, man. I love these little meetings that kind of come out of BetBash pre-event, post-event, during the event. So I'm all for it, and I'm all about making new friends and meeting new people. So thanks for having me, brother.
Hey, I'm honored that you're willing to come. We've just been telling some stories about BetBash and why we love it so much. The next one up on my list to tell a story is my buddy from Canada. We've got so many people from different countries that go to BetBash. It's amazing the reach you have. But Cameron, you're up next if you want to tell your BetBash story.
Yeah, I bought a ticket to BetBash as like a 40th birthday present to myself. you know, because it was going to be a big deal and I like sports betting, and it was at Circa with the big pool and the screen and everything. So I didn't have any expectations really when I went down there. But, you know, we were outside in that pool for that pool party, and they start putting up, you know, prop bets on that big screen about, you know, the final four and then the final basketball game. So, you know, I'm talking to the guys in the pool about these props. You know, I got Armando Bacon there on the under because he was injured, you know, and then we got a chance to watch that game in the big watch party, and you're sweating the props. And then at halftime, you know, you're sitting there with all the professional gamblers, right? And you're going to ask them questions about what they like at the half. What are they seeing? Are they going to get any wagers in? And a lot of people were like, no, because they were just there for fun, or no, because, you know, the market's efficient, so I don't have any edge. But I found one gentleman there, the Plus EV Analytics, and, you know, explained to him I was asking him some questions about if the first half is this, you know, and then the second half, is it going to go under? And he liked what we were talking about. And so he and I, we go to the window, right? We go down to the window at the bottom, you know, we make our second half under bets. And, you know, and luckily it came through, I guess, because I think Kansas got hot and then UNC shut it down. So that worked out well. So people are always asking, you know, is it worth it? And yeah, there's lots of stuff to bet on. It was totally worth it. And then just the relationships that you make doing that thing, right? I've already prepaid for the next 10 or 15 bet bashes. And then we're going to BetBash 3, and I'm hoping to prepay for the next 100 BetBashes. We'll see what happens.
I'm sure that'll happen. Fats, we've held you up for the last one with the story. Do you have a good story for us about getting the police involved or anything?
Well, before I get into that BetBash story, I just want to say that I had lived in Vegas for over 30 years, and in June, before the first BetBash, I moved from Vegas to Michigan, where I live now. And when I left Vegas, it was very sad, and I thought, you know, it's hard for me to travel. I'll never end up back in Vegas again. There's going to be no reason to go. And then Spanky did this BetBash 1 in New York, and that was too far for me to go. And I really wanted to go, but it just, for one night, for a couple hours, it was too much. And I tried to get Spanky, hey, you know, you should do it next year. You should maybe do it in Chicago, because that's only 2 hours for me. And I figured I could make that. And then Spanky went up me and did it to Vegas. And I was like, all right, now I got a reason to go back to Vegas. And, you know, I was in Vegas for over 30 years, and I went back to BetBash, and I was there a day or two before and stayed a day or two after. And my biggest memory is that the 7 days I spent there for BetBash were as fun or memorable as any other 7 days I can remember in my 30 successful, wonderful years in Las Vegas. So, I mean, hats off to Spank for having, you know, come up with this and built it from a one-night party to a 3 or 4 day event, and now pushing probably close to 1,000 people coming out for it. And one of the things at BetBash, and that I understand that the value of it and everything like that, and I try to always promote it as best I can. And it really annoys me when people who don't know anything about it try to like downplay it or say it's not worth it or this or that, when they have no basis to make that kind of a statement. And there was this one guy in particular, and anybody who follows me on Twitter knows who he is. I'm not going to give the satisfaction of saying his name, but I mean, he says a lot of stuff that's just totally off the wall, out of line, makes no sense. It is bad gambling advice for anybody that's listening. And I'll call this guy out on that stuff. And one of the things he was tweeting was how BetBash wasn't worth it and you shouldn't go, and it's not this, that, and the other thing. And, you know, fine, if that's his opinion, I made my comments. Well, anyway, I'm at BetBash at the panels, and I'm sitting there, and I get a direct message from this nut job, and he says, "I can see you," and he describes to me where I'm sitting in the room. So he's in the room. Well, I know he didn't pay to go to BetBash, and he's got no business being in there. So I look around, I don't see him, but I pulled up a picture of his on the internet. I went right to security. I had that entire room scoured till somebody kind of saw where he finally was sitting. And as security started to walk over there, he kind of tried to slip out the back and then tried to walk back in the front door again. And that's where we actually saw him. And they asked him if he had ID to be there, and he said no. And then he wanted to talk to me, and I said, I don't want anything to do with this guy. This guy's got no business being here. And we got him thrown out, and we posted it on Twitter. And I had so many positive responses from that day after that was done, because everybody was glad that I got this guy thrown out. And not to mention, the guys, not only did the guy break in there, but then he was criticizing what we were having for lunch. He heard 10 minutes of one of the lectures and was criticizing the content. And the guy doesn't have a clue, because, he wasn't there for all the things or anything like that. And so anyway, to this day, I still, whenever I get a chance in a tweet, when he says something stupid, I remind him that he still owes Spanky for his BetBash 2 admission. And, he tries to say, oh, well, he broke in there because he was reporting, like he was a reporter trying to report for other people. Well, too bad. You want to commit theft of service. You want to report, you buy a ticket, then you go in, you write whatever you want. So anyway, and just today, the guy said to me, he tweeted out today that maybe he'll see me at BetBash again. And I promised him if he tried to come out this year and do that again, that he would be arrested this year. And he says, oh, well, maybe just let me know how it was. And, I left it at that. I told him, I already know how it's going to be. It's going to be great. And everybody attending will say it was well worth the money. And I left it at that. And, but the support I had knocking that guy out of the box was tremendous. Not to mention the support I had from everybody else, because when I first, I didn't join Twitter until 2021, right after I did my Be Better Betters interview with Spanky. And then I immediately joined Twitter after that. And, I've used Twitter to pass on knowledge. I've used it to address issues like the sports books that, limit sharp players and stuff like that. And anything else, to positive nature towards the gambling community. And I've built up a decent following. I'm close to 3,000 followers now. And when I was out at BetBash, the week I was out there for the 7 days, I jumped like from 1,100 followers to 1,400. I'm up to close to 27, almost 2,700 now. And it's really been the support of all the people. Like when I was there, like, I don't consider I'm a guy, I do have a lot of sports knowledge from all the years that I've been in the business, but I'm not really a celebrity by any stretch yet. People from Twitter were always coming up to me like, oh, I'm so glad, I wanted to meet you. And, it's kind of nice for people to appreciate, I guess, the stories I've told and things I've shared. So, and I met other people there too that
Fats, you do tell a really good story, and you and I've spent a lot of time talking, and I really do appreciate all the stories you've shared with me, even the ones you talked about this morning. The one thing that we haven't covered on this podcast today was the Legacy Club. Nobody had a story about that. Spanky, do you have a story about the Legacy Club?
Well, I want to just go and make sure that Fats gets the credit that he deserves. Derek Stevens told the story last year at BetBash. When Derek was a young up-and-coming sports bettor, and he was on a line at Gene Mayday's Little Caesars, and there was this fat guy behind him that told Derek Stevens, "Hey, get the fuck out of line! You're holding up the line." And that guy that fucking cursed out Derek Stevens was fucking Fats. So Derek tells the story and says, "Thank you, Fats, for teaching me respect, because without you, I wouldn't have fucking known respect, and you taught me how to respect and how to and that is the fucking story of all stories for me. Like, that's just, you know what I mean? So Fats, don't kid yourself, or don't downplay what you've done in this business. You're definitely a legend, and you've seen and done it all."
Well, I appreciate that, Spanky. Although, speaking of the Legacy Club, I have to say, well, first of all, as far as Derek Stevens concerned, I did spend a lot of time with Derek Stevens, including walking out, just me and him walking out onto Fremont Street and up to a stage that was playing on the one late night on the weekend. But as far as the Legacy Club, the female sports enthusiasts that were at the Legacy VIP party were amazing. And I tweeted out, last week I tweeted out some pictures of, if anybody follows me and checks my feed, you'll see I tweeted out some pictures from last year's BetBash with the female sports enthusiasts, along with one of me and Derek Stevens and one of me with Doug Kassarian from ESPN.
Yeah, I saw the pictures. What I thought was really cool about going to the Legacy Club is I had not met everybody in Spanky's office at the time. So when I got to the Legacy Club, he put me on an elevator with 8 girls, 8 gorgeous girls. And by the time we got up to the top floor, I'm thinking, I'm not entirely sure Spanky is not hiring these girls based on looks, because these are some of the most beautiful girls I've ever seen. They might be brilliant at something else, but these were the most beautiful girls ever. So it was
Scotty, you missed the boat, because the trick to that party for like the first hour as people are arriving is after you go up the elevator, you go down and then you go back up again.
I never thought about doing that. That was funny.
Here's something that not everybody knows. So when Fats was up at the Legacy Club, he would drive up to some of these girls and in his scooter, and he would say, "Hey, your Uber is here."
Yeah.
Which is fucking great.
That's a good line.
I like the line too. That is cool. Well, does anybody else have a story? Spanky, you haven't really got to tell your best story of BetBash. I'm sure you probably have one you'd like to share.
Honestly, there's so many, you know what I mean? I don't want to be like a sourpuss and say, but running the event, guys, it's so much different than participating. And as much as I want to love and want to soak in all of BetBash, it's honestly it's hard for me to enjoy it as fully as I want to, just because I want to make sure it goes off without a hitch. So, as much as I love it and I did have a good time, I'm always worrying about the next thing and thinking about the next thing. And that's the big thing. When we had it in April at that stadium swim, and when that sun was setting, that last Final Four game was playing, and that breeze was coming in, I felt like I was in heaven. It was just incredible. It was just really incredible. That, we're not going to have that same atmosphere in August. You know what I mean? So just keep that in mind. But at the same time, I do remember that I had a beer in my hand. I was talking to a couple of people and just watching that last Final Four game and just seeing how beautiful that stadium swim is. It's second to none. So yeah, that's a fond memory I had.
Well, that reminds me of something that happened to me and you at BetBash, and I don't know if you remember this or not, but we were in, I think it was speed networking or something, and I could tell you were really stressed out because I got a pretty good read on you with all the time that we spend together, and they were serving hot dogs or something, and I said, no, it must have been at the speeches or I
The
can't remember what
panels,
that's
yeah,
called. The panels, yeah. And
yeah.
I said, Spanky, I got a complaint. And you says, oh my God, what's wrong? I said, I went up there and I went to get hot dogs and they limited me to 2. And you turned to me and you said, if you can't figure out a way to get a third hot dog, you don't deserve to be in this business. And you walked off. I laughed so hard because I just wanted you to smile and try to get some pressure off you, was all I was trying to do.
That was good.
No, you were going to solve the problem. So I thought it was great.
I love
One
it.
of the things also that we didn't get mentioned, which obviously is not a memory yet, but it's going to be I think one of the fondest memories of many people at this event is the interview that Spanky will be doing with the one and only and Billy Walters live at BetBash panels, which is not going to be aired over Twitter. It's either be there or be square for that interview. And let me tell you, as somebody who's met Billy Walters, talked to Billy Walters, a lot of the stories you may have heard about him may be true, but one thing about that guy, he is charismatic and you can listen to him talk for hours. And he tells stories like second to none. And whatever Spanky can weasel out of him information-wise, it's something everybody's going to want to hear.
Yeah, I think that Billy Walters interview is going to be huge. And that I have 2 complaints about BetBash. Number 1 complaint I have, and I've already addressed it with Spanky, is he's not going to broadcast that interview. And the reason I complain about that is because I'm going to want to listen to it multiple times. And what Spanky told me to do is just take notes, because the valuable information we're going to receive from Billy Walters is going to be second to none. And the other complaint I have about BetBash is it's too short. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start BetBash on Monday. I'm not going to wait till Tuesday night. So I'm going to be down on Fremont Street starting Monday morning to get the party started. I'm going to go to lunch. I'm going to sign people up for VHP proxy to make sure everybody gets in the contest. I'm going to be doing that all day Monday, all day Tuesday. And then, of course, we have this big blowout lunch on Tuesday. And maybe I'll get to invite some more people to it. But does anybody else have another story they want to tell, or do we want to end this?
I got one quick thing if I could. Since
Go ahead,
Spanky
Adam.
call. I won't go into my whole. I already rambled on my story, Spanky, but I want to just tell you this personally. I was going to tell you at registration, but I met Scott. We had the speed networking group that started this whole roundtable thing, and I didn't know anybody personally heading into BetBash and was apprehensive about going. But I want to just tell you, man, the thing changed my life. The people that I know now that I didn't know then has just made, I can't even describe it. And so I'm indebted to you. And I just wanted to say thank you, for putting this together, because this has been amazing. And we're really just starting to see what we're going to do here.
Man, it's music to my ears, brother. I'm so happy. And look, I was somebody coming up in the business way back in the day, and I wish a BetBash existed back then. All I had was the forums, and I would reach out to people that knew way more than I did, and people were very receptive. And that's what we do, man. We hand down and we help each other out. And it's not, despite this game, a lot of people saying it's dog eat dog, and what I could earn, we're battling each other. There's still a camaraderie there. There's still a collaborative attempt to collaborate. You guys have proven that in the most unbelievable way possible with this roundtable that you guys have, where you guys are helping each other day in and day out every day, and you're all making money together. And that's, a lot of people say, how can you do that? No, we should be fighting each other. No, that's not the case. Me and Fats have worked together for years and years, and we've both earned together, and that's just how it is. Like, this is, despite this being so competitive, it really can be so collaborative if you know how to do it the right way. And I'm so happy to hear that you guys are successful. Scott tells me all the time that, BetBash changed his life, and by you saying that, and it's changed our lives too. Don't get me wrong. We made a lot of connections, and we want to keep making connections and keep making friends. And I don't know why somebody in my office is not part of this roundtable, Scott, by the way. So you got why don't you talk to Luke or somebody? Have somebody like Jake or somebody should be on this, because apparently you guys have all the answers. So please share.
We have a lot of the questions, and we usually have somebody in there that's an expert on the issue. But also, I want to say, and that's a really nice thing what Adam said, but I won't tell you the guy's name, but I had another guy on Spank Odds to Sport this morning that absolutely loves you, Spanky, because you're willing to give this product away. People don't realize how much money you spend on Spank Odds that you're just giving away for nothing. And you're not asking for anything. It's amazing. And then today, and I didn't even know you were going to do this, I just kind of got caught off guard. You're actually now giving away Spank Odds to everybody who signs up for BetBash number 3. I don't know what more you can do. I really don't. You've given so much. I'm really honored to say you're my friend.
No, listen, Scott, thank you for the kind words. But look, guys, I'm not going to pretend like I'm some saint. And I'm here for charitable purposes. Don't get me wrong, I like to help people out, but at the same time, eventually, Spank Odds will not be free. So I just want to make sure everybody understands that this is not, you know what I mean? Eventually, I'm going to charge. I got to get more market share, and I got to make sure I want to make it better and better. And I want to build a customer base. And I know that Spank Odds is a type of product that is the way I retain customers is I get them addicted, and that's all I'm trying to do. Like, again, you're calling me a saint, but in real life I'm like a drug dealer. I'm really trying to get you guys. I'm trying to get you guys to love this shit so much that when the paywall comes up, it should be a no-brainer saying, okay, listen, I make a lot of money doing this. It's not that bad. Let me pay, and then because look, Scott knows this firsthand. I got the best programmers. I got the best guys on the back end. Scott's incredible at what he does. We got a lot of people working on this thing, and they don't come cheap. You know what I mean?
And I can tell you, I can verify from just what I've seen in the involvement I've had that Spanky's expense to keep this thing going is no drop in the bucket. He's going balls to the walls to keep this thing going. So. It is a huge expense.
But here's the thing, like the reason why, how could you do this? It doesn't make sense business-wise. But the thing is that, like, my office uses Spank Odds, and we make money with Spank Odds. So every tool that's built, every function that's there, we use to make money. So it's pretty easy to justify keeping it free because my betting is able to pay for everything. And that's a good problem to have. So as long as, we're able to keep winning and, and I don't anticipate us not being able to win, but as long as we keep doing what we do, we're happy to keep it for free. And again, though, there's still a method to the madness. And I'm, again, just trying to build market share. There's a book I read. It's called Free. I forgot the author, but it's, you get it on Amazon. It's a book on how you kind of could, it's better to give things away, good things away for free early on, to try to build loyalty and customer. And again, the one thing that kind of differs us from Don Best or anybody else is that the people that build Don Best or that whatever, they don't use Don Best. It's very different. Like, that's the thing. Like, the people that build Spank Odds, the people that help, like Scott, is a daily user of Spank Odds. So when Scott gives us a suggestion, when Fats gives us a suggestion, these are daily users that know what's important. Fucking Fats helped build Don Best to make it what it is today. Fats helped give all the initial guys from Don Best all these suggestions, and that's why and everybody we all, it's a collaborative thing. We were helping each other, giving each other feedback to try to make it the best thing. And don't get me wrong, I don't have all the answers, but I know what's important and I know what people want, and people don't even realize what they need or want. Like limit change alerts. Nobody even knew that shit would exist, or nobody thought of that. Why? Because the people that build these tools don't bet for a living. Me, that's what I do. So that's why when you see limit changes, or when you point at the Chris line or the Circa line or the Pinnacle line, and you see their current limits, that's like everything. You know what I mean? Like, how do you not align with that? You have to have a line coupled with a limit, because if the limit is shit, the line means nothing, right? So, but this is natural when I talk about it. It makes sense, but it doesn't come natural to people that don't bet, or the people that just build tools that don't understand how the business works. So I'm sorry I keep rambling on, but I appreciate it. Thank you for the kind words. But again, I'm just trying to get you addicted.
I think you've accomplished that. I would say the number one request we get from for support is I forgot my password, and the number two is please start charging, because everybody wants to pay you for this program. It's the number two request I get every day, and I got another one today.
You can still send donations.
Actually, I had a guy ask me about Patreon today, and I told him Spanky won't take the money. Not yet.
Yeah, not yet. Don't trust me. There'll be a time in which I'll take the money gladly. But...
Hey, Scotty, tell them you'll put the money in the customer service fund.
Yeah.
I'm very well compensated. I'm not looking for tips.
Otherwise known as a Tuesday lunch.
It's funny, you guys, just to elaborate on that point that you said, Scott. Like, if you can make money using spank cards today, once we put the paywall up, that's when like 80% or 90% of the users go away. So if you thought the competition was hot, it's going to even get easier, because then you're going to have 90% less users. So now you're really going to have it as much to your, it's not going to be all to yourself, but it's going to be pretty much to yourself. Like Scott always said it, Scott was one of the official first testers of spank cards. And it was like fucking, Scott, like you were just like printing money, right?
Yes.
And once we started putting it out there, you're like, shit, man, these lines are moving a lot faster than they used to, right? So it sucks, but he goes, man, I didn't realize how good it was until, you started giving it out to everybody. And then, but hopefully we can go back to those early days once we put a paywall up. And I think that's what people mean, because they're happy to pay for it and have less competition.
Right, because I used to have lots and lots of time to make my moves. Now I have very few seconds to do it. So yeah, I want you to start charging and charge just enough that I can afford it, but nobody else. That's the price I want you to do. But I think we might want to wrap this one up. I hope to see everybody on at BetBash number 3. If you want to sign up for the Circa contest, please get a hold of me. My DMs are open. I'm at Vegas Horse Pools. I'll be down there all day on Monday, all day on Tuesday. And of course, I'll be at every single event. And I hope to win BetDash. With that, I guess we'll sign off and thank everybody for coming.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks, Spanky.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, fellas.